The new WoW expansion will change everything.
All of it.
We have a lot of hints and speculation going around in the last couple of months on what that is. Blizzcon
2023
is gonna
soon. It's a couple of months.
Probably gonna show us exactly what we're looking at, but it is all about pirates and world revamps, and even I would go as far to say system revamps in a lot of cases, because we're gonna take it step by step, okay? So let's just get right into it. Obviously, the first thing we have to look at is Thrall. Well, if you are aware or not aware, the BlizzCon key art features Thrall big and shiny on the poster, which is very indicative of either Thrall being one of the main characters or the main character of the new expansion. It happened previously when you look at BlizzCon 2019 key art in 2020, there was always a character that was like kind of a main player within the next story, I would say, the main narrative line. You saw Jaina, you saw Sylvanas,
yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of indicative. It goes the same with like the Diablo games and so on and so forth. Now,
do you think with all of it, with the way that they're kind of approaching WoW, and they have been approaching it lately, do you think they're gonna take, if we're gonna be talking about Thrall, in a direction where Thrall's gonna be taking a leadership role? I'm like 110%.
You want that one?
Well, I don't know if I want it. The thing is, it's not going to be the Cataclysm Thrall where he saves everybody. I don't think it's gonna be the Shadowlands Thrall where he's like just there. And I don't think he's going to become the war chief of the Horde again, because we have the council and they kind of like the council, but I think he might lead the expedition. He might take a central role into, expedition. Whatever it is.
It could be an expedition. Yeah, he's not going to take I wouldn't say a leader role, but rather he will probably tap in once again into his elemental roots as a shaman, because I don't know if you noticed, but Dragonflight has a lot of elemental stuff going all around it. It's probably,
for sure now,
probably going into the next expansion. We'll need a shaman like Thrall who kind of knows what's up with the elements. He has been dabbled with them in the past, and this is the thing, right? There's this like interesting place we know about that, but we really don't know about. We just see the text. So it's an item from 10.15 with, I think it's called the Infinite Word or something. It's basically a device that you can use in all of the Titan facilities. Yeah. Now they're named, all the Titan facilities are named there, but there's also one we don't know about. It's called Uldaz. And we don't know where that is. We know all of the other places where these are, but it is being like kind of speculated that this is probably somewhere in a new continent or a new zone that we're probably going to get revealed at BlizzCon 2023, and it's presumably steaming with elementals and all of that shenanigans. Water, a lot of water, because water involves ships, and ships sometimes involve pirates as well. Because
if we're gonna be talking about like hints as to what it would be, this is where I usually stand. And I think we had this conversation offline with the 6-month subscription mounts, which historically in the last couple of years have always been indicative of the new expansion theme. And now we have like this big fish, which is clearly water themed. I mean, it's not. They won't just put like a real, and it's actually kind of cool. It looks nice. And they're not gonna do this. It's clearly thematic, as opposed to other 6 months mounts that we've had that were indicative of a certain celebration or the Chinese New Year or anything like that, or anything like cultural. This is definitely not cultural. This is definitely themed, and it's definitely water themed. And I mean, I would like Vajir back, but we're probably not gonna get Vajir back. But at least we're gonna have boats.
Yeah, this is. I would go even further than that. I look at the face of that fish. It has a pirate face.
Okay, sure, for pirate face.
It does have a pirate face, but in all sincerity, if the expansion is going to be focused on a lot of elemental stuff, water included, fire, all of that. When this happened in the past, a big event happened. Something took place. Okay, we knew Cataclysm was all due to death.
I know where you're going. Kind of like a world reshaping event.
Yes, exactly.
with the Cataclysm. And I do believe that's, I mean, obviously it's all speculation, but they have been taking the first couple of steps.
Speculation, and I think, was with hints, because we have plenty hints.
I'm more in tune with what's coming right now with 10.15, and the fact that they're introducing dragon riding outside of the Dragon Isles a lot earlier with the Kalimdor raid races, they don't just do things for no reason, or they don't just take advantage of things that they do to kind of implement more content into the game. And the fact that they're putting us back into Kalimdor to do dragon race, whatever, once dragon riding is everything's going to be enabled there, they're definitely putting us into the old world for a reason. Now we just have dragon riding, but they're definitely going to keep piling up on that, which leads me to believe they're not just going to make us look at old barons. I don't know if they're going to revamp textures and all of that stuff, but they're definitely going to include a different change in the new world, and that's definitely going to be tied to the next expansion. I doubt this is going to be like a 10.2 thing.
I think they are going for, I wouldn't call it necessarily a revamp, but more of an update to everything. I remember like multiple interviews with Ian, especially after the Dragonflight launch, where this old content, old zones subject was like brought up over and over. And he more or less said, yeah, this is in the books. We are looking at ways to, he didn't use the words update or revamp, but, you know, ways to
Those are triggering words, sir.
To make things, you know, much more relevant and impactful and enjoyable. And this is why I think it will change everything in the sense that, yeah, I think the whole world will be updated for sure. And you could update your Patreon support for Marcelian Online. If you like these types of videos, make sure to check the link in the description, patreon.com/Marcelian Online. It supports the content, obviously, but you get a lot of goodies and access to a lot of stuff over there.
And we appreciate you for it.
More details in the description. Now, speaking about all of the things that devs have said over the years, it's clear that they are aware that a lot of the content is old and never visited again. They try to do it with different quests. They try to do it with different activities, you know, going back and forth. But really, there is no reason to go back in older content other than, I don't know, leveling, choosing something.
That's what I mean with the Dragon Raid, that they're adding reasons. And I think
that's the first one.
Although this might still be a cope, and just to kind of round up the old world stuff, I think the minor but still consistent success of Classic, whether it is hardcore or not, kind of gives the sense that, you know, people like the old world, the two continents, the old stuff. So I think they're still gonna take something of that as a pointer, as okay, people want to go back to Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms or anything like that. Plus, we still have a lot of questions that we're probably building towards, like, you know, minor stuff like rebuilding the tree, rebuilding Teldrassil, or what's probably going to happen with the Emerald Dream and stuff like that. And hopefully kind of figure out exactly what's going on with Lord Ran. Those are kind of questions that have been in the game for years, and with revising the old world, they can probably revisit those, whether it's through scenarios, patches, or anything like that. That could be a really cool thing to do.
We don't know the villain yet, but having a big character like Thrall present there, it will be a great villain. Either a new one, although I do doubt it's going to be a new villain. It's probably something...
It has to be something relatable, because we've been through 2 expansions, and okay, hate BFA as much as you like, N'Zoth was a recognizable villain, Ajar was a recognizable villain, Sylvanas was an antagonizable character that we kind of knew, so it was... We knew what was going on in BFA, but Shadowlands was very new, and it was a hit and miss. Dragonflight, it has a lot of things going for it, and maybe one of the weaker points is the fact that we don't have relatable characters that constantly engage in the story. Like, the dragon aspects are very passive. They're starting to, they're more active in side quests and side stories, which are amazing, but the main storyline is just every patch they're trying to make us care about the respective villain. Razageth, Sarkareth, now with Ridikron, right?
Ridikron is a topic for another video.
He's cool, but it's kind of like the focus point of now in 10.15, him and Deos, but they're not characters that, oh, okay, we knew these bad guys, like the way Legion was, like the way Arthas was, right? And those arguably sold.
This is the thing. When you look at like what they're planning to do with a new expansion, with all the hints and all the so-called leaks and speculations over the years, I do believe that, one, they will have a total or almost a total update to everything around the world, like graphics and everything like that. That will also be tied in with the main storyline moving forward with it. I am 100% sure they will reintroduce some sort of carrot on the stick. I'm afraid to call it borrowed power, but something like that will be added in the next expansion, and that will change a lot of things. Well, if that's being done right, there's no problem. We always said this. We were tired of borrowed power in the way they did it in BFA and Shadowlands. It was like a good premise and maybe it got degenerated a bit later on in Legion, but I do believe like the borrowed power concept, we could talk about tier sets, talk about, powerful trinkets, that's borrowed power as well. So that will come back in a way in the new expansion. And also, I think the biggest draw in for this, we'll see it at BlizzCon 2023, is the actual context, the characters they introduce and how they get hooked up. Remember the trailer for Battle for Azeroth? That got people like giga hype because you apart from the conflict Horde versus Alliance, sure, that was like, I think that fell over. That was second place over seeing the personification and the actions and the visuals from both Sylvanas and Anduin.
We know for sure that, after either MoP or WoD, they came out and said in one of the interviews that they've planned to have, after WoD, they've planned to have WoD followed by either Legion or BFA. So they had storylines timed in such a way where either of those two expansions could follow up WoD. Whatever happened, we know what happened, but the fact of the matter was that during the production of WoD or prior or anything like that, they already knew the next two expansions and they already had plans to have either one of them implemented. So the fact that this expansion that's going to come now, it was in the works for a long time, is not anything surprising. And I think to tie into the next point, everything that we talked about, the world rework is something that I think I've heard in I think it was Tally who talked about it as well, but there are other people who talked about it as well.
Most of the content creators.
Yeah. It's the map. And if you really, it's fine, but we keep adding every expansion a lot of stuff in the middle of the map. But you really think about it, if they're going to revise the old world, if they're going to revisit the continents and kind of put more reasons to be there in, you kind of have to talk about the fact that what's between the Eastern Kingdoms and the Kalimdors on the other side of Azeroth.
Yeah, like so full 3D. Right?
Yeah, full circle, because it's cool. It's cool for a high fantasy type map where it's just a flat 2D screen. But we know that the world is round.
Yeah, Azeroth is round. Azeroth is round. If you look at the planet, it is a round planet. We are very familiar with that.
And there has to be something on the other side, because it's not like the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor have like half of a sea, of world of a sea that's empty. Obviously, they I don't know how intentional it was, but that probably left them a lot of room to do stuff. And considering that we're definitely gonna have it can be a pirate, but it's at least a water-themed expansion. We're gonna traverse continent some way, whether we land on a different continent or an island or multiple islands or anything like that. For instance, one thing that I feel like they definitely missed a lot in BFA is expanding on the concept of island expeditions, which initially I liked, but it became grindy. But the fact that there was content that was diverse, it was random, it gave you a lot of templates to play around with. And obviously, if they can take that and take it to the next level where they don't just add predictable, repeatable content, but actually make it meaningful, tied to whatever player power we might be grinding, hopefully tuned in such a way that they took everything from the past expansions to actually make it interesting. I think that's definitely where they're gonna go. I mean, I'm like 90% sure that that's where it's probably gonna end up in.
Okay, now let me tell you what you are not expecting. And I am, how do I put this? So the new expansion, the new pirate expansion, is gonna bring a new class, and it's gonna be pirate. Yeah, Outlaw Rogue. Hear me out. Outlaw Rogue, that's all fine and dandy. It retains its identity, but it's not a full-on pirate identity.
It's an outlaw.
So a new class is going to be introduced. It's pirate, and it's going to have 3 specializations: 2 DPS, 1 tank. The first one would be the Buccaneer. I'm not going to go into details on how it's working. The other one will be the Gunslinger, 1 melee, 1 ranged, and the tank will be the Captain. And it's gonna be one.
No swashbuckler.
No, we can go with that, but I feel like the leading position is gonna be exactly. They're not gonna introduce it at the beginning. They're gonna announce and talk about it.
Oh, you think so? They're not gonna sell the expansion with it?
They're gonna sell the expansion with it, but it's not gonna be available in the first patch. It's gonna be introduced in the later on because it's tied with the story and blah blah blah.
All right.
So I think that would a grain of salt.
Okay.
It's just me speculating on it.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Like fulfill the fantasy. Plus, we have a total rogue rework in the present day, which will probably address a lot of the things thematically as well, on top of mechanically for all of the rogue specs. I just feel like a new class that is more grounded and rooted in fantasy. Pirates are much more rooted than I would say like, you know,
Dracthyrs.
skinny lizard things, and you know, more meaty, more like you have like a new melee DPS, a new range DPS.
I so vibe with that because one of the cool things that they did with Outlaw's rework is that they called it Outlaw, and although they've kind of kept adding pirate themed ability, Outlaw could be like a cowboy, could be like a robber, could be like whatever thief or stuff like that, so a bandit or whatever. It doesn't have to be the pirate, right? So they could probably either with the rework, and they've changed Red Paladin without even announcing. They've changed the feel and fantasy of it a little bit. So taking Outlaw into a more bandit / cowboy / stuff like that direction wouldn't be surprising, to leave room for that pirate theme, because we know that when they added demon hunters, they had to take away from demonology, and that didn't really feel well.
We're curious what you think. Let us know in the comments what is your opinion or what are your wishes regarding this. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe check this one somewhere here.
It should be
somewhere around here somewhere, just, you know, if you're interested in it, obviously. Thank you for watching. We shall catch you in the next one. Bye.
Love you.